Hey everybody, it's Party Elite with another episode of Total Breakdown. This time we've got an interesting battle between Loki's Warriors of Chaos and Zomka's Vampire Counts from the ongoing tournament at Clan Community. If you're interested in a great Total War community, make sure you check out the link in the description below. Sathariel leads the Warriors of Chaos with metal shifting, while his Sorcerer of Death is on horseback with Life Leeching, Spirit Leech, the Fate of Buna, and Arcane Conduit. A unit of Chaos Marauders, a unit of Aspiring Champions, and 2 units of Forsaken won't have any trouble against most Vampire Count infantry, while the 2 units of Chaos Warriors with Great Weapons and the Chosen with Halberds will have no trouble against higher tier units and large enemy units as well. The Marauder Horsemen with Throwing Axes provide some range support, while the 2 units of Chaos Warhounds with Poison can provide some great flanking support and can work together with the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth to take care of enemy cavalry. The Vampire Counts come in with an unusual army, led by a Strigoi Ghoul King atop Terrorgeist with the Curse of Undeath, the Hunger, Spirit Leech, Invocation of Nehek, and a Potion of Speed. A unit of Fellbats can keep enemy units distracted and busy, while the Terrorgeist and Vargeist provide some aerial support with decent damage capabilities and anti-large support as well. 2 units of Zombies act as fodder troops, and the 4 units of Graveguard with Great Weapons bring in armor-piercing damage, a must-have against the Warriors of Chaos, supported by the Sternsmen, who can stick around in combat for a while given their regeneration. A Corpse Cart with an Unholy Lodestone comes in to provide melee defense and attack buffs with Vigor Mortis, and regeneration with the Unholy Lodestone, while the Black Knights will provide an opportunity for flanking maneuvers into enemy infantry. Alright, as always, we're going to start with a conversation about deployment here, and while the Vampire Counts keep it relatively simple, the Warriors of Chaos do try something a little bit more adventurous. So let's start with the Warriors of Chaos here. You'll see up front already, we do have the Marauder Horsemen with their Throwing Axes, Vanguard deployed to get some early damage in. We also have the Chaos Sorcerer of Death up front a little bit, able to push forward, get some nice magical damage in, and then pull out and pull back rather behind the main army. We also have a Chaos Warhound unit on either flank tucked away in the trees, waiting and hoping for the Vampire Counts to push forward with their full army, as they tend to do, and then able to push out and get some nice rear charges in. So good placement there, far away, not likely to get spotted unless there's a flanking maneuver coming in, and then able to push in and provide some support with flanking maneuvers of their own when the main lines get involved. And the main lines, again, relatively simple, all things considered. Up front, we do have the Chaos Marauders, right behind them, the Aspiring Champions, able to dive in and provide some support with some real damage, while on either flank, we do have the Chaos Warriors with Great Weapons, some of that armor piercing again, able to push forward, get some engagements in place, lock the enemy in place, while all the way over here, we actually have the Forsaken tucked away in the trees, hoping that the Vampire Counts will clump in, as they, again, tend to do, and then push in for a nice rear charge. So very nice placement there. While on the other flank, we do have the Forsaken currently hidden as well, but that's because of terrain. Once the Vampire Counts show up around here, they will be revealed, and they won't necessarily be able to get the flanking maneuver that these guys will be able to do. However, in the center, once again, we do have the Chosen with Halberds back here. Again, anti-large armor piercing. They can push into the front and provide support against any Crypt Horrors that might come crashing through, or, of course, push to the sides and take care of Blood Knights or any enemy large units that might be on the field. We do also have, of course, the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth for that very purpose, while Sathariel here guarding that left flank, providing some support, and able to do a decent amount of damage himself as well. With all that said, let's take a look at the Vampire Count army. Again, relatively simple as far as the deployment goes, but of course the army itself is a little interesting with the units that are present. So let's take a look at this army. Up front, we do have the Zombies, again, not looking to get any damage done per se, but looking to absorb some initial charges and some of that initial hurt. We do have the Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone right behind them, and then all the way back here we do have all of the Graveguard with their Great Weapons. Again, these guys are armor-piercing, anti-infantry. They will do a decent amount of work. We also have the Sternsmen right behind them. Again, these guys able to dive in wherever necessary or push in for a flanking maneuver. I think that's why they're kept separate. Good call there, just to give some supplementary support, because again, they're not armor-piercing, but they are anti-infantry, so they'll do some work, but not as much as some of these Graveguard up here with their Great Weapons. We do also have the Vargeists up in the air over here. When they're frenzied, they'll do a lot of work, while we do have the Fellbats off to this side, again, able to potentially hold enemy units in place, prevent charges, and just cause a distraction overall, while the Strigoi Ghoul King, as well as the Terrorgeist up in the air off to the right over here, these guys can cause a decent amount of damage. They are anti-large, of course. They do provide poison support as well, so a lot of work to be done there, while the Black Knights with their lances and barding tucked away in the trees here, again, able to push in and get a decent amount of damage in, maybe push in with some flanking maneuvers, some rear charges, get that morale damage in as well once lines meet. So with all that said and done, let's take a look at how this battle breaks down. So obviously, right from the get-go, the Chaos Marauder Horsemen here are going to push forward to get some damage done. That's why they were Vanguard deployed. That's exactly what they're going to do. So they push forward, nudge forward ever so slightly, and trying to take care of the Terrorgeist nice and early, I believe it looks like. Not a bad idea. Terrorgeist is a very threatening unit. It's up in the air, and this is the only range support that the Warriors of Chaos do have, so not a bad call whatsoever. Pushing forward, I think now these guys focusing on the Strigoi Ghoul King, while these guys firing away at the Terrorgeist here, chucking some of their axes, trying to get some damage done, but they are terrified even as they push forward. The Fellbats do push in to try and take care of these guys, while these Black Knights here as well push forward to try and get engaged because they can take care of these Marauder Horsemen right away, but these guys are very fast, so they're able to pull back and stay just far enough away from these Fellbats to prevent getting bogged down. While over here the Terrorgeist does dive into the Marauder Horsemen, not micromanaged well enough. They take a decent amount of morale damage. Fortunately for them, they don't actually start dying off right away, and so they can actually retreat, and you see almost immediately they do get pulled away, while these guys over here as well pulled away to some safety. The Fellbats take a decent amount of damage, but the Marauder Horsemen there relatively safe, and these guys as well relatively safe, taking a decent amount of morale damage, but of course they will recover from that, while the Black Knights here do retreat and give chase to the Marauder Horsemen, trying to make sure that they get off the field once and for all. The Chaos Sorcerer of Death here now, finally, that the Vampire Counts have pushed forward ever so slightly, nudging forward to get a little bit of that damage done, while all the way back here you'll see the Marauder Horsemen continue to chuck axes at these Black Knights and also surrender at the same time. They need to be very careful of getting charged down and bogged down completely. Again, the Chaos Sorcerer of Death pushing forward ever so slightly. The Marauder Horsemen here as well being very cautious of pushing forward. They don't want to get stuck in by the Fellbats because that'll be a very dangerous situation. So again, pulling back. They don't want to get bogged down. Again, Fellbats and Terrorgeist, very dangerous situation. Chaos Sorcerer as well, pushing forward, pulling back, not looking to get bogged down. Not entirely sure. I think maybe waiting for some Winds of Magic to collect before getting too aggressive. While all the way off in the distance there, you'll see these Marauder Horsemen forced to retreat as the Black Knights here continue to give chase. So good call. They're trying to shut these guys down once and for all, taking a decent amount of damage with those axes, but at least taking care of that range support so that it's not able to come in and harass afterwards. Meanwhile, over here, you'll see the Chaos Sorcerer finally getting involved here. Pops Spirit Leech on the Terrorgeist, and the Terrorgeist does persist, pushes forward, chases after the Chaos Sorcerer of Death, and Spirit Leech does go down on the Chaos Sorcerer as well, trying to take that magic off the field right away. So that's not a bad call at all. Terrorgeist, again, does continue to give chase. Spirit Leech does finish off, takes about maybe a fifth of health off the Terrorgeist, a decent amount of damage. The Chaos Sorcerer, though, in a very precarious situation, as the Terrorgeist does land and give chase, causing a lot of hurt to morale and to health. Arcane Conduit does pop on the Chaos Sorcerer, trying to stay alive there, and also trying to get some, at least another cast off before he does die, if he does. The Marauder Horsemen here tossing their axes, again, trying to scare the Terrorgeist away. Not doing enough damage to do that. The Terrorgeist continues to give chase to the Chaos Sorcerer, and you'll see Sathariel here does need to get involved alongside the Dragon Ogre Shaga. So pushing forward here, another Spirit Leech does go down on the Terrorgeist. Terrorgeist again just harassing the Chaos Sorcerer here, trying to get a lot of work done, while the Vargeists are now being sent forward to respond as well. The Dragon Ogre Shaga does push in, though, causing a lot of hurt to the Terrorgeist. That is not an ideal situation for the Terrorgeist. In comes Sathariel as well. Vargeists do decide to drop in, but the Fate of Buna does go down on them. That's going to do a lot of work. So you'll see the Fate of Buna goes down. The Vargeists are falling apart almost right away, while the Terrorgeist as well starts to crumble immediately under so much pressure. The Dragon Ogre Shaga does a lot of anti-large damage. So again, the Terrorgeist does have to fall back, crumbling away, while the Vargeists here sticking in place so that the Terrorgeist can get away, I think, but they've taken a lot of damage as well. The Fate of Buna continues to cause a decent amount of hurt there, while all the way in the distance you'll see that one unit of Marauder Horsemen have been completely run off the field, so not a bad call there. While you'll see over here as well, we do have the Terrorgeist hit by Invocation of the Heck, trying to keep the Terrorgeist alive. A very high value unit there, a very expensive unit, and also capable of doing a lot of work, so good call there, trying to keep the Terrorgeist alive. And you'll see here the army does push forward, and the corpse card is slowly falling behind. It is a pretty slow unit, so it's slowly falling behind from where it started off. You'll see the zombies as well, obviously falling behind. Not really the fastest units on the field, and Sathariel, meanwhile, does pull back alongside the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth into their, more or less, their original position, while the Chaos Sorcerer of Death has also pulled back into a safer position to get some magic off from. Meanwhile, you'll see, of course, the Vampire Counts continue to push down the field. They don't really have much choice. That's what the Vampire Counts do best. They push down the field and hope to bog down the enemy coming from multiple angles. You'll see the Black Knights back there as well now, trying to catch up with the army here before they do engage. And again, all the way back here, you'll see the corpse cart is continuing to fall behind. The Terrorgeist pushing off to the side here a little bit, but not really being aggressive enough. Should have pushed forward to at least get some scouting done over here and over here. There's a lot of information to be found in these little pockets, so it's unfortunate that these Fellbats and these Terrorgeists and all didn't actually push forward to explore. Meanwhile, the Marauder Horsemen over here getting some shots off, getting a little bit of damage into the Graveguard here, and now the front lines do engage as the Graveguard here dive into the Chaos Marauders. A decent amount of damage traded here. The Fellbats do push in over top alongside the Terrorgeists over here as well, while the front lines lines do dive in. Meanwhile, you'll see the Forsaken over here decide to get involved. Of course, this is what they've been waiting for. The Forsaken over here as well, pushing in before the zombies are able to bog them down, and the Terrorgeist as well as the Strigoi Ghoul King make a crucial mistake here. They dive in on the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, and while the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is surrounded and is going to take a decent amount of hurt, especially on the charge, the Shaggoth can do a lot of work here and is doing just that. Meanwhile, over here you'll see Sathariel has been hit by Spirit Leaf, so he is going to eat a little bit of damage, while the Forsaken over here do dive in with a side charge and start getting a bit of morale damage in there right away. You'll see the Graveguard there beginning to give up already. They don't want to stick around and fight, while over here you'll see we do have the Terrorgeist hit by Spirit Leech as well as the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth as well. The Strigoi Ghoul King did not stick around to provide support, and so the Terrorgeist has basically been taken care of. It's been Forsaken, and the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is going to have an absolute field day. Meanwhile, over here you'll see we do have the Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone just out of range of providing that support. Vigor Mortis doesn't have that much of a range, so unfortunately you're not going to see its effects on the field. You can see it's just short, so great call there, sending in the Marauder Horseman into melee to hold the Corpse Cart in place. And you'll see at the same time we do have these Chaos Warhounds with Poison pushing out of the trees over here, trying to shut that down as well, while these Chaos Warhounds with Poison were pushed out from here, trying to hold the Black Knights in place potentially, but having to retreat, of course. Not the ideal engagement for the Chaos Warhounds with Poison, so pulling away, trying to disengage and find a better avenue of attack. Meanwhile, up front you'll see we do have the Chaos Marauders here giving up, while the Fellbats back here do engage over here, trying to free up the trying to free up the Corpse Cart there, wanting to get the Corpse Cart up here so it can actually provide support to the Graveguard, who are in desperate need of it. Meanwhile, the Terrorgeist does fall, crumbles, and absolutely completely gets destroyed, while the Chaos Knights here are able to get a nice rear charge into the Forsaken, get a decent amount of damage in there. But of course, in response, we do have a little bit of magical damage coming in the Fate of Buna. A lot of hurt being done there. These guys are falling apart, and now the Chaos Warhounds with Poison are able to push in again on that same left flank, get a nice rear charge, and start these guys crumbling almost instantaneously. These guys do not want to stick around anymore. You'll see the Black Knights as well in critical binding right now, very close to falling apart, while on the right flank as well, we do have the zombies, in fact, being completely destroyed by the Forsaken, while the Graveguard in the center here as well being taken care of by the Chaos Warriors with great weapons. The Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, meanwhile, does push forward to get involved in that central engagement, trying to shut down the Vampire Counts as quickly as possible, while Sathariel himself does dive into the Corpse Cart. Now the Corpse Cart is close enough to provide some support in melee for some of these troops, alongside that regeneration support as well. So Sathariel now has to shut that down right away, while the Strigoi Ghoul King does respawn, dives in to try and scare Sathariel off, of course, and try and get some damage in there. Pops the Potion of Speed as well, I think, just to get that extra vigor and also help with that charge that came in. But now the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth has decided to respond and dives into the Strigoi Ghoul King. Sathariel is in a pretty tough spot. He's taken a lot of damage, so it's probably ideal to actually pull him away, while the Vampire Counts are actually falling apart. Their infantry has not stuck around. They've all given up. Back here, unfortunately, these Chaos Marauders as well were pulled back. They were standing around for a little while, but now being sent back in again to just clean up. And it's all about cleanup right now. If the Corpse Cart can be taken care of and the Strigoi Ghoul King can be shut down, then that's the end of the battle for the Vampire Counts. You'll see the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth here getting a lot of work done, spreading around that damage, while the Chaos Warhounds with Poison actually taking care of the Corpse Cart. They are able to do that, so just bogging it down, getting a lot of damage in there, and now clogging up the Strigoi Ghoul King, making sure he's not able to take off once more. He's fully surrounded, taking a lot of morale damage. The Dragon Ogre Shaggoth beating away at him, doing a lot of hurt, and you'll see he does begin to crumble soon. There you go. He is, well, now he's at critical binding right now, very close to crumbling with that full surround. A lot of hurt being done. You'll see the Corpse Cart is beginning to crumble, though. Invocation of Heck does go down, trying to keep it alive, but very close to falling apart in critical binding right now. And again, the Strigoi Ghoul King forced to retreat, pulling away, trying to get out of there, able to do so just barely, and trying to take to the air right now, while these Chaos Warhounds with Poison trying to slow him down, keep him in place, while the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth does give chase to beat away and try and shut him down once and for all, and kill him once more, re-kill him, undead him. Still giving up, crumbling away, eating a lot of damage. The Corpse Cart as well, now hit by these Chosen with halberds, slowly falling apart, and there you have it, a full shatter now. The Vampire Count's unable to overcome the strength of the Warriors of Chaos. An Pyrrhic victory for the Warriors of Chaos. Now, this battle shows a very interesting Vampire Count build that seemed to be doing decently. Some unfortunate engagements, particularly for the Terrorgeist, did not work in favor of the Vampire Counts, and the Corpse Cart was unable to provide support as it was quite cleverly shut down before it could join the mainline engagement. Great awareness on display in separating the Corpse Cart from the rest of the army there, and as a result of that and great flanking maneuvers, the Warriors of Chaos took the day. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Total War content and keep sending in those battle replays. I do think it's one of the best ways to learn, and it's always great to highlight some great battles from the community. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.